Oh, shoot. I'm surprised this works. I actually am doing, so we are live now, but I forgot because lately I've been streaming on YouTube instead of Twitch, but we are actually using Twitch to make this work. So I feel bad for Twitch right now, but that's kind of funny. I don't even know how the chat will work. I don't even know. That's weird.
So you're using Twitch, but we're
on YouTube right now.
Streaming on
Yeah,
YouTube.
but we're using Twitch to do this live video. So
nice.
Yeah. So I don't think I'm supposed to do that, but it works. So that's great.
It's a glitch. And they have to work it out.
Yeah. We're here with Alessandro again, my coach. We haven't had a lesson in a long time because we've both been busy, or especially me. It's been mostly me, and but we're back. And as I told Alessandro briefly a week ago, my main issue lately has been time management. Like nothing comes close. My time management is atrocious. It's beyond ridiculous. And almost every game that I lose is due to time management. Okay, so I'll leave it there.
Yeah. Well, when you wrote to me, you mentioned a couple of things you wanted to go through. Mm-hmm. One of them is Endgames with pawns against the Rook. Well, that's a big problem that you mentioned with your game. Mm-hmm. The time management issue. Today you sent me a game. I think it still has to do with that perfectionism stuff.
It's so hard to overcome that.
Yeah. It's just that you have to adjust to the time control. I mean, if you're playing a long time control game, like, well, for example, in this tournament where you get time to think, how are you doing with the time in this tournament?
Actually, surprisingly, I did awesome. I had great time management the whole tournament. But it might just be that I just need that little bit of extra time because 10-0 might just be a little bit too quick for me. I'm getting older, and so 10-0 to me is like blitz now. It feels like 3-0, you know.
Yeah, it requires a completely different approach, and there are some things that you just can't spend time on. For example, that game you sent me today, there's a point where you spend like more than 2 minutes on a move. And I bet you were calculating bishop takes f6 followed by 95 in that position. Let me see. I don't know if we can put it here.
I know the game that was the accelerated dragon. I don't think I was looking at a bishop f6. So,
because after he plays b5, you spent a lot of time there, and then you played a natural move.
Yeah, I remember the b5. I remember the computer liked c4, or c5, which was interesting because I'd never considered that. So I will definitely look at that in the future. But there were a few things. I forget if I was looking at knight d5 at that point. Or taking, I don't know. I'm just slower in processing now. The funny thing is, a few years ago, my weakest point was calculation by far. Like that, or at least that's what I felt. I felt my calculation was terrible. But now I think I'm actually I've really worked on it, and I'm setting a lot of new personal bests on the puzzles online. So I think I've really improved my calculation. But yeah, my time management, holy smokes. I think I'm losing so much rate. Like I'm leaving so much rating on the table by just my atrocious time management.
Yeah, in a 10-minute game, spend more than 2 minutes on a game, and it's like on one single move, where there are many options that look more or less fine. And what you're actually doing is you're like leaving 1/4 of your total time in a move that doesn't change anything, and that's a big problem.
It's definitely perfectionism, because I feel like I don't know, I've got historians in the future. They're going to look at my game, and I want to put out perfect moves. And it's hard. I know I should be more pragmatic about it, but I don't know.
Yeah, if you think about it, I mean, you end up down a minute or so, and then you're gonna start blundering anyway. So their perfectionism goes out the window
Yeah.
immediately, uh, just in order not to get flagged. And yeah, it is an issue. I mean, it's about recognizing uh, when it's worth putting in the time, because if it's a mess and the whole balance of the game is going to be altered with this move, then well, that's fine. But if you have many more or less decent looking options and you can't find a shot that just leaves you with a better position or anything, then play a normal move and keep going. um, yeah, in a 10-minute game, you don't afford to spend too much time on any individual move. That is, yeah, that's definitely true. Um, there's one funny plugin, I think, or another one. I don't know the term really. It's like an extension that when you don't move for a certain amount of times, it tells you, okay, move already, or something like that.
Oh yeah, but I wouldn't like that because that's a crutch. So I wouldn't ever want to use that though. Um, to me, that's actually like cheating because it's like external assistance.
Yeah, well,
I
it's
I just think it's not good
it
to.
can be.
I just think it's not good to rely on
Yeah,
it because in a tournament you won't have that. So
no, it's just for the purpose of training, basically. When you solve puzzles, do you give yourself a certain amount of time, or you just think for as long
I'll
as
think
you?
forever until I get it right. Or until
Okay.
I basically never give up. Like there's videos of me spending, I think the most I've spent is 1 hour. And that's staring at the puzzle nonstop. Like I don't go to the bathroom or anything. I'm staring for one. Yeah, I really put a lot of time into it until I figure it out. That maybe it's overkill, but yeah, I don't give up after a
I
certain amount of
mean,
time.
it's good for correspondence player, maybe, but you're a practical player. You need to give yourself. I mean,
No, sorry. So
a time
I
that's
thought you were
according
asking
to the
about
level.
puzzles, right?
Yeah, puzzles. Because I mean, if you allow yourself to take forever when you solve puzzles too, then well, the problem is that you're going to do that in your games also. I mean, maybe a good way is lowering the difficulty a little bit from time to time at least, and setting a certain amount of time to solve the puzzles.
Well,
So you
one
do that. Yeah, yeah.
well, yeah. So one thing I think that works on that perfectly is the puzzle streak mode on Lichess. They have
Yeah,
a similar one on chess.com, but it's called something else. But I think that's
yeah,
perfect.
like
And I do that too because you start off with the like mate and ones, and then they progressively get more difficult. So I think you get a good mixture of the simple ones for pattern recognition, and then you build up into the calculation ones. I think that's you get a perfect mix there. But I don't do puzzle streak too often. I mostly just do puzzles and try to work my way into the harder and harder ones. But yeah, I understand what you're saying. That might be having an influence in my games where I just think forever to try to figure out the best solution.
yeah. If you only do it that way, then yeah, I mean, I think it's going to take a toll at some point. It's just that you're allowing yourself to think for as long as possible in every scenario, um, and you have to train also well not to do that.
So I kind
to
of worked
solve
my
problems
calculation too much, is what you're saying.
yeah, probably. Yeah, we need to find out. I mean, I'm still not that worried. I mean, as long as in the longer time controls you're doing fine, and in the tournaments you're not having problems with this, I mean, that's the main thing. 10 minutes. I know you want to increase your rating
Yeah.
in every time control possible, but still, in real chess, you're doing great, which is awesome. Um, So yeah, I mean it's something that's hard to fight against because it's inbuilt in your chess personality, and you are a perfectionist. You always want to deliver the best move available to you. But yeah, that's, I mean, the lower time control. Well, you probably find it like that. I mean, it's just the harder it is to play like that, it just won't work. Have you been playing Blitz?
Oh, I really try to limit blitz. I just do it again just to try to set a new personal best on the blitz rating. So I just play it from time to time. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. How about the timing, though? You also have problems with timing Blitz?
No, and bullet I don't either. But then again, I play with I used to play without increment on bullet and blitz, but then a year or two ago I switched to increment. So then now I play 1+1 on bullet and 3+2 on blitz. But the 10-0, the no increment, it's what's killing me. I wish I could play 10+5.
It's like if it's fooling you into believing that you have time, but it runs out quickly.
yeah, and I'm just slow in general. I've never been a quick player. I know I'm a slow player, so.
Yeah, the only difference between a 10-minute and 5-minute game is that maybe in a 10-minute game there will be one moment in the game or two where you can allow yourself to look for something for like a minute at most. But then that's it. Then other than that, it's just a blitz game.
That's kind of what I've been telling myself lately too. I just like, this is blitz. This is basically blitz. 10-0. It's like, it's not much different than blitz.
Yeah, true. Really, not much of a difference. But I know you asked for endgames where there are 2 pawns against the rook.
Yeah,
we will get there, but I think it's important to take a look at the general battle between the rook and the pawn that's marching towards promotion, just to understand how some ideas work before we get to the 2 pawns, which we will get to. So, well, black is going down this way.
Okay.
It's white to play now. And even though the king is very, very far away on a8, it's white to play and win.
Okay, so this is in Dvoretsky's manual. There's a couple of things that I hope to remember. The first is there is like some halfway point where if I think if black's king was here, then it's a draw. I believe, just because I just recall that there is like this imaginary like halfway point through the board where the king can then support this pawn. That's one thing that comes to mind. The other thing that comes to mind is, since you said it is white to win, I think there is and I'm pretty sure this is in Dvoretsky's Endgame manual, at least the 4th edition that I read. And
all these examples are, because these are all the relevant examples of the theory of these endgames, and there's not much more to know. You've read this part of the book? You've got there?
I read about 90% of the book. Yeah. But we'll see.
Let's see if you remember.
Well, yeah. So there's that's what I'm trying to. So the thing is, there's so much in that book, and I've read it very slowly, but it's still very all cloudy.
It's big.
Yeah. So there's bits and pieces that ring a bell, but it's not. Most of them are not clear in my mind, and some of it just goes straight out. My brain, one goes in one side and one out the other. Anyways, I'm thinking that there's like some. I don't think our rook has any role here. I believe it's the timing where we can. It's something about like we cut off the king either on b4 or b5, and then once the pawn gets too far, then we can go and trap it. Now let me just think about that a little bit further without the arrows.
Yeah, try to calculate it. Let's see.
I'm trying to. I
happens.
forget. How do I get rid of the arrows in a study? Do I have to undo them one by one? I think I do.
I think you can click elsewhere and they should disappear.
On a study, I don't think it works. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, see?
Oh, no, it doesn't.
I know. On a study, you got to do it one by one, like chess base. Like chess base, you have to do it one by one. You got to undo every drawing. Oh. Stupid, eh? Okay. Yeah, and you got to do the exact same order. Yeah. Okay, sorry. Okay, so let me think here. So thinking out loud, rook b5. Rook b5 might make more sense because I cut off his king as far as possible. And he can't do anything except push the pawn, because if he goes towards my rook, then I just take his pawn. So if rook b5 and h4, I then just start to bring in my king, like king b7. And if h3, I'm pretty sure I read this in Dvoretsky's Endgame manual. Yeah, so after h3, then I think I just rook b3 should be fine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the rule is if you cut the king on the third rank and it can't go to the fourth rank, you get to the pawn.
So did you say third rank?
That's basic
or fifth
rule.
Fifth rank?
Yeah, the king doesn't have to cross the third rank. If he goes to g5, you're in trouble already. Well, not in trouble, but you're not winning it. Because then you wouldn't be able to attack the pawn from it. It would just be promoting too fast, or it would be just defended by the king. But here you're cutting him on the third rank. I mean, on the fourth rank you cut him. He doesn't go through the third rank. And well, when he pushes the pawn to h3, you have the time to attack it and put your rook behind it. Mm-hmm. So h2, you just get there first. I mean, just for comparison, let me set this up.
Are you surprised that I read that and remembered it?
Yeah, I mean, it's this is fairly complex endgame stuff.
I got really into endgames.
It's a nice rule. I mean,
a couple years ago.
Oh. In this case, it's already a draw. The king is already on its fourth rank or fifth rank. We can't cut him off. I mean, if we, for example, if he plays h4, he could also play king g4. But even if you cut him here, it's not enough, because when he plays h2, he's threatening to make a queen already. That's the problem. And if you attack it right now, he's just gonna follow it up with the king. So this time h2, and you don't get to attack the pawn. Well, it's now it's going to be a draw. You have to play rook b1, and the king comes to assist the pawn. So the king doesn't have to go beyond the third rank. That's the rule. If you cut him on the fourth rank, on his fourth rank and your fifth rank, then you win. provided, of course, there are no other things. For example, if your
Like the king is closer.
way
Yeah.
too far, we're talking about a rook that has to deal with the pawn by itself because the side, the strong side has the king way off. um, okay, good.
Oh,
It's
okay. Oh, sorry.
white to play
can
here.
you hide the table base or the I see it. I see endgame table base. I'm not looking at it now, but
Oh,
yeah.
and how about now?
I still see it. It might be part of the opening
Do you
book.
still see the table base? I
Yeah,
got everything.
it might be part of the
Oh, yeah.
opening
When
book.
you click on the book, it appears. Yeah, I think it is because I have everything disabled basically
Really? Let me
in the
refresh.
menu.
Okay, so there's no way to turn that off? Okay, it's okay. I'll just disable it.
Apparently, let me
It's
see.
fine. I just closed the opening book, but okay.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
But that's weird that you don't have access to
Okay.
disable that.
Yeah. I might need to do it on the settings of the study.
Yeah, it won't be per chapter. It'll be the study settings.
Yeah, I think I disabled it for now. I don't know if.
Oh yeah, you did.
Uh,
Yeah, it's gone now.
yeah.
So
Okay.
now I can't cheat if I wanted to. Okay. Sorry, what were you saying?
Okay, it's white to play. What's going on here? Do we win? Is it a draw? Why?
Well, unfortunately, there's
Come.
another thing that I can cheat with. It's a draw, I think, because you labeled the title of this chapter as draw.
Yeah.
So I can't help myself. Okay.
This one is white to play,
Okay,
and it's still a draw.
okay,
Now
and black
how?
is going down.
Yeah, black is about to promote.
Well, yeah, I think it's the same thing. I think it's really the same thing as the previous one because it's essentially the same thing as if black has gotten past the the halfway point, the third rank or fourth rank, and has gotten down the board. Except white's king is closer now. That is a difference. And it's white to move.
Try for the win.
I guess it's white. Yeah, white to move. I wonder if there's stalemate tricks here. Well, King G8. I don't think seems to. Sorry. Yeah, it's white. It's black's move. King G8. I don't think works because after King G6.
It's B1 and B3.
Oh, sorry. I don't have the. Yeah, I don't have the coordinates on my thing. So yeah. Okay.
Oh,
sorry. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. So if King B1, I don't think that works because King B3 seems to just win on the spot. So, how can black defend here? If King C1 and King B3.
Oh, we'll promote with check.
Oh God, I keep thinking the pawn's going up. Like, I should almost put on my coordinates here. But okay, sorry. Yeah, maybe it's because. Okay, I think it's just because I'm thinking about it from white's perspective. But okay, sorry, I'm all messed up here.
We are from white. We are seeing it from white's perspective, and this is first rank.
Yeah, but I mean, but we're trying to win. But what I'm trying to say is I'm looking at it from white's perspective, but I'm trying to make it work for black. So I got all confused in my mind here. Okay, sorry. So.
So you mentioned king c1. This is normal. I mean, we're going to make a queen if white allows us to. And now the only try, I mean, if you keep checking, nothing much is going to come out of it. I mean, we're still threatening to promote.
So king c3.
But what if king c3?
So knight, I think we just under promote to a knight, and that is a draw as long as we keep our king away from the corner. It's still a bit tricky, this endgame. You got to be careful as black. But this is a theoretical draw. Yeah. This is annoying. Like this is an annoying. This is like these are theoretical endgames, but they're still tricky. You know, they're still easy to screw up. So I believe we want to keep it away. Well, hang on. Hang on. Well, you said it's a draw, but I'm trying to remember. It's not always a draw. There are a lot of factors. I remember looking at this opening. There's situations where white can win in certain circumstances, but most of the time it is a draw with correct play. Yeah. So after rook a2, I think it would be a mistake to go to knight b1 because then after rook a1, well, wait, my instincts say not knight b1.
And if not knight b1, then what?
Well, I'm just trying to think why not knight b1. Because I was thinking at first that rook a1 is the issue, but then there's king b2. So knight b1 might be possible, but I still have bad feelings about it. Like I wonder if actually knight b1 might work. So let me look at the other options. There's only one other move, which is knight b5. Oh no, okay. Knight b5 is, I had it backwards. Knight b5 is actually, I think, dangerous because we have to be careful because the knight can get boxed out. So knight b5, there might be king c4. And if we get that knight, if the knight becomes separated from its king, it can get trapped forever and then hunted down. So it actually, you actually want to keep the knight right next to the king. I had it completely backwards. So knight b1 is actually correct. Yeah, because if knight b5, there's king c4, and then the rook can cut off the knight, and then slowly you hunt down the knight.
Yeah, between these two pieces, that knight is not going to save itself. For example, rook a5, you have these three under control. It has to start going back. I mean, this is the only move, actually, because knight c7, you just give the check and you capture the knight, so knight d6, and the rook can keep pushing that knight to unfavorable squares. And then you're going to bring the king, and that knight is not going anywhere, really.
Yeah, so you want to keep it close to the king, but you don't want to put it in the corner. And then there's also some other situations where it doesn't defend.
So in knight b1, in any case, he plays something like rook a1, or he tries to go around like this. You play king b2. I mean, the only thing you have to avoid here is him separating your knight from your king, and it will be a draw. You had a nice idea at first. After rook h2 check, king b1 is very interesting. And I think it just works because you have this b pawn. What if king a3 or king b3?
Well, I was worried about king b6 originally, but I forgot that the pawn was moving down. But yeah, doesn't Oh yeah. So then if king H or king A1, then
King A1. That's
yeah,
also a trick for
we
which
can't
is
take
good
the
for a draw in
pawn.
this case.
Yeah.
And this method works because you have a knight spawn. If you had a bishop spawn, you probably have to go with the line that we just saw, with the um, king to the edge, and then promoting to a knight with check. And here, as long as we don't allow him to separate the knight from the king, we're gonna be fine. And knight a3, even if king back to c3, you give this check. Oh no, sorry. Knight b1 check. Yeah, it's good enough for draw, isn't it? If king b3, now what do you play? Again, you have to be a bit careful, but
Then we go
you always seem to.
king E8. Otherwise, rook A8 is a threat.
You mean king d1?
Yeah, sorry.
Rook h1?
Yeah.
But you lose the knight there.
Ah, you're right. Okay. Well, then we only have one square. I thought this doesn't work. Oh, it's check. It's check. Okay. So I missed the check.
You always have a check, yeah.
I missed the check. Okay.
And if he goes to d3, you always have knight a3, and well, you always have a couple of squares to shift between b1 and d2, and b1 and a3, and you can keep the knight in touch with the king. Let's slightly change the position. It's white to play in this case. This pawn is coming to a1. With the rook pawn, it changes a little bit. In this case, white wins. Why is that?
So I'm not even looking for moves. I'm just trying to think logically why that is.
If the white king is close enough to make checkmate threats, then the a pawn loses.
Yeah, I think it's because the knight will be in the corner, and I know that's the one square you don't want it to be when you promote, because you can't survive that. So
exactly, just bring the king.
Yeah, and then when you under promote, the knight will get trapped.
Yeah, and you have to, or else there are no stalemate tricks here. There's nothing. You have to promote with a check, but there's no knight a3 anymore. There's no room, and black's about to lose the knight. Well, or king c1 gets checkmated. That's the tiny difference with the pawn you're going to stop. I mean, if you have the king quite close, then the a pawn is dangerous for black. In this case, well, you just win because black under promotes on the corner. Okay, let's make it a little bit more difficult. It's black to play and
draw.
Yeah. It's the white king that's slightly misplaced. That's why he can't force the same thing. With a king on b5, why would just if it was his move, he'll win with check and king b4.
So I'm looking at a2, and rook a8, and king b2. And I don't think he can make progress there, because if he goes rook b8 check, then I go king a1, and his rook can't stay on the b file because of stalemate. And so if he leaves the b file, then I move the king and threaten to promote. And if a2 and rook h1, then king b2, and the best he can do is rook h2, and then I should be able to either just play king b3 or maybe even king b1 there.
Well, a2 actually loses because he can push you against the other corner, the other edge, I mean, instead of rook h1 or even rook a8. He can play rook b8 check.
Oh,
and you don't get decided.
Okay. Okay, but I like the same idea. So I'm thinking king b2 then, because I do want to go in front of my pawn. So let me consider that. So king b2 was the same idea. If he plays rook h2 check, I'm assuming king b1, and if king c3, ooh, king c3 is a problem there.
Now there comes a very important idea, which is
oh, did you cut out? Uh-oh. Yeah, okay. I don't know if you can hear me. I'm gonna type to you. I can't hear or. Oh, you got disconnected.
How about now?
Oh, I think he's back. Hello?
I'm back.
Okay, yeah, sorry. Yeah, you cut out there. So the last thing I heard you say was that after king c3, it gets tricky, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, now the idea of shouldering comes in. There are certain squares you won't, you should not allow this king to go to in every scenario. For example, king b2. You mentioned rook h2 check. And, well, now we have to be particularly careful. If we go to c1, of course, the rook is just coming to take the pawn, and there's nothing we can do about it. So king b2, rook h2 check. King b1, now the problem is that he's building that position where he wins against the a pawn. King c3, a2, well, checkmate actually, because the pawn a2 is kind of annoying. And if not, you're getting into b3 and capturing this pawn anyway. So after king b2, rook h2 check, we know we can't allow this king to go after our pawn. So we need to play a shouldering move, not allowing the white king to approach. I'm going to put it there.
Wait. There's only one move. We go king b3. King back to b3.
That's exactly what shouldering is about, and it's very important in all these endgames, really. King and pawn versus king and rook, king and 2 pawns versus king and rook. And well, in many endgames where there are rooks for both sides also, the idea of shouldering is extremely important. In this case, we know that we lose with the a pawn if the king goes all the way to b3. So we're keeping him off there. What have we achieved? Well, the rook is not particularly well placed. I mean, he can't give any other checks. We're just threatening a2, and he'll have to give the rook for the pawn eventually. If he goes back, we will play king b2 again. So rook h2 is not actually making progress. So what if he plays rook b8 check instead?
Now I can do my earlier idea of when I wanted to play a2, because so now I can go in front of the pawn. Now I have to decide between. My instinct says a1, but I'm looking at a2 as well. But I don't know. My instinct says a1 because then I can play a2, or sorry, then I can play a2. So without even calculating it, I'm gonna say king a1.
Okay, king a1. Let's say king c3. He's still gonna try to build that same position.
a2.
a2, king b3.
Okay, you're making me nervous. Okay, you got king b1.
King a3 check.
Yeah, king a1.
King a1, rook h8.
Yeah, I saw that coming. Yeah, that's okay.
Actually, it was worse than that even. I mean, king a1, king c3, h2, rook h8, and it's checkmate no matter what you do. I mean, king b1 only move, and rook h1 is checkmate because the pawn is on h2. So yeah, it turns out you can't go against against the edge because again, white approaches with the king. He has ideas such as this again, and you have the very unfortunate a pawn. So again, you have to apply shouldering. This is the right move. Because unfortunately for white, you're just threatening to push this pawn.
Yeah, so we really have to keep control of that c3 square, not let his king come any closer.
Yeah, you don't allow him to approach in time. And now the rook is not behind the pawn, so you're threatening h2. I mean, he plays king c3. h2, you threaten to just promote with check. Very important. Else this might be a problem. And if rook goes to a8, king b1, again, you threaten a1. And he's in no time to answer this with anything. I mean, if rook check, king c1, you never step into a1 because king b3 or even rook h8, and he makes you go out and gives checkmate on the first rank. But shouldering is paramount here, especially when you deal with an a pawn. The rook has many resources against that poor a pawn. So we shouldn't allow this king to come to b3 and the rook coordinate in such a way that he gets that favorable endgame again, or he just takes your pawn. This move, it's very hard, but this happens a lot. You go on the opposite direction, but since the rook is not behind the pawn anymore, you threaten to advance anyway, and this king can't come closer. That is the whole point. And if you had started with a2, we mentioned that he would just go for a good version of this ending, where if he promotes to a knight, the knight is on the rim. I mean, the king is not on b1, but on a2. I mean, but the knight can't move. And if king a2, now what do you play?
Well, he's in zugzwang, so I could just play rook b7.
You just give the tempo back to him, and he loses the knight on the next move. Knight c2, knight b3 or knight c2, that just loses the knight. So yeah, I mean, tough ideas. I've seen many endgames just lost like this.
Yeah, and you're usually in time trouble at this point, right? So often you only have seconds left. So
yeah, totally. Okay, rook h2 check, and it's black to play and draw here. I mean, is that? Wait a second, is this correct? Or did I mess something up? Let me see.
Yeah, because king b3 looks good. I'll just go back and forth.
Yeah, king b3 looks like it just shoulders the king. Oh no, I did something wrong, I think. Sorry. Yeah, I put a piece where it doesn't belong. Here
Okay.
it is. Else king b3 would just be even king b1.
Yeah.
I think it will do. This is the
Okay.
Yeah, this is the right position.
So
It's
black
to play and draw now.
and draw. So I like the look of king a3 because I don't see how white makes progress there. And if he brings in his king, then I promote with check.
Excellent. Same principle, shouldering. This king can't come to build up that winning position we already know against the a pawn. If king b1, king b3, knight, king c3, we know this is a win with the poor knight on the corner. So king a3 surprisingly holds. Because again, the rook is not in place to stop a1, so you have to spend the tempo on stopping that, either by giving checks or by playing rook h1, and then
I just go back. Yeah.
white never has the time to approach. Oh, sorry?
No, I said, yeah, if he goes king h3 or king h1, then I just go back to b2. I just go back to a3 and b2.
It's he never ever has the time to do anything with his king, because you just threaten to push. Good. Well, this is from an actual game. This happened. Actually, black resigned right here. Though we still need to see what happens if king f2. This pawn is going this way. With king f2, not only you support the pawn, but you're also trying to shoulder the king. On principle, it should be much better than going to h2, because then we could try to bring the king. But in this case, it looks a bit harder for white to bring the king and stop the pawn. So white needed to find a very nice maneuver with the rook, which is also quite typical to win a tempo.
Yeah, my instinct says rook a2. But let me think a little bit here. Because I also like rook f8. Because I feel he can't go to the g file, because then my king comes in. So I cut the three options on the g file out immediately. Yeah, I'm going to actually lead with rook f8. Like, that's my leading candidate move, because the
rook f8.
Yeah. The g file is out.
Very.
And if he goes king e3, I think I can go rook g8, and he brings in his king, but then I bring in my king, and I've made progress there.
Excellent. It's a maneuver to win a tempo. A check to win a tempo. I mean, you separate the king from the pawn, and you win a tempo to put the rook behind it. And never from the side. It's very good that you discarded this. You need the rook behind the pawn, and then approach with your king.
Was it Chigorin that had those three rules, like behind and then beside and front? Was that Chigorin that first said that?
Don't know really.
Yeah, okay. I think it might have been Chigorin.
It sounds like. Oh, interesting. I mean, it really sounds like Tarash or something.
Oh, it might have been. It might have been Tarash. It was one of those two, though. I'd bet money it was one of those two. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, quite likely. I'm inclining towards Tarash because he was, well, the great teacher uh, alongside with Nimsuch. Um, but yeah, the rook always behind the pawn. Just stop the pawn, just support the pawn. But the rooks belong behind pass
What I
pawns,
love about that
definitely.
rule is it works for both sides, like for both your side
Yeah,
and against your enemy. It's a beautiful principle for that reason. Yeah.
yeah, you almost can't go wrong. Yeah.
Yeah.
So king goes to e2 to keep shouldering. As you said, I mean, if the king goes in front of the pawn, it's just going to be really clumsy because we
Yeah.
can get the king closer without the pawn being able to advance. And now you play rook g8, and you win time to put the rook. So after king f3, now you can approach, and if g3, you give a check,
Yeah.
and you keep approaching. That g pawn hasn't gone uh, that far, really. um, so okay, you still need to win this. Let's say
King h1. Okay.
he tries king g1.
King g1. Uh, rook f3 is looking good. I mean king f3. Sorry, I meant king f3. I'm liking king f3 because I don't know how he's going to. I'm going to take the pawn next move, so I'm going to say king f3 because I'm going to play rook g8 next move and then take the pawn.
Okay, king f3,
Yeah.
g2.
Oh. Yeah. So what's the problem? Oh, you don't know. Oh, okay. Stalemate tricks. Okay, okay. Yeah, there's king h1.
Just the matrix. We
Yeah.
have to see if we can overcome this.
But you know what? He's okay. The problem is if I let him under promote, his king's in the corner, but his knight is not. But that still might not be great for him. No, this is fine. Just go rook h8, and then king g1, and then rook g8.
Rook g8.
Oh, again.
He's
Oh,
gonna
God.
play this
Oh,
again.
okay. Okay, hang on.
You have a way, though. I mean, you do win here. You can capture the.
I'm not sure about this, but I was looking at king g3, king f1, rook f8, and if king g1, then rook f. No, that would be very similar.
So think about it schematically. How can you get that G pawn without stalemating him?
Yeah, so I have to control the H file with the rook before I capture it. So
So you need to get this position, but with your king on G3, and now being able to play rook H2.
yeah,
So he plays king F1, and then you capture without stalemating. You need to get there. From there, you can work backwards.
yeah. I mean that's why I was so okay. So if I go rook H7, king F1. Oh no! I was trying to.
Might be a draw there
Yeah,
because
that
he's
leads.
making a knight.
The heck is. I see a way to make him promote to a knight, but that should be a draw. Although then I might have a pin. Let me just take a look at it. Rook A8. Never mind. This is confusing me. Wait.
You need to get here.
Oh, really? Well, okay. I was just about to look at something else.
Oh, okay.
No, well, I was briefly looking at King E3. Just that, but King F1, and then I was thinking like Rook F8 check. But no, I was looking at King E3, but
King E3.
Yeah, just briefly. Well, I thought because it gives me the F file for the check, but yeah, it doesn't. I don't think it works. So
it's also threatening to promote with check. Yeah, that's annoying. What about King G3? Okay. I mean, you threaten to play Rook H2, which is the move that would win instantly. I mean, King F1, Rook takes G2, and he'll have E1 for the king.
Well, I thought he
can still go to F1.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's why I thought I can't play Rook H2.
But as you mentioned, you have checks.
Yeah, King G1.
You can control him with checks. And now, how do we get the Rook to H2?
Oh, now, I mean, if we go Rook H8, then there's King F1.
Exactly. We need to get the Rook to H2 with the King still on G1.
Oh, what if I need to do that with tempo? So I can go Rook F7, King H1, Rook H7 check, King G1, and then Rook H2. It's tricky. That's tricky.
Yeah. Right there. Tricky, yeah. You need to go the.
I would have flagged. I would have flagged by now.
So you can play without. Good trick to know, because even this is not completely trivial. I mean, it's
yeah.
Once he tries to hide on H1, you still need to know your stuff here. You can get him out of the corner. Yeah, your Rook is well placed to do it, but you need to control him with checks. And Rook F8, King G1. You can just waste the tempo here. I guess you can do this because you're threatening Rook A1, and if King H1 is just the same check, and Rook H2 anyway. But this is your goal. You have to get here.
Yeah, that was tricky.
Okay, it gets trickier. This is white to play and win. This pawn's going down this way. And notice that black's king is already shouldering white's king.
Yeah, I've never seen this
white's
before.
King on the other side. It's a study. It's a very.
I know it reminds me almost a little bit of that. What is it? Not Saragossa. It starts with an S. You know, that famous rook versus pawn, and then you what's it called?
The Saavedra.
Yeah. It reminds me of that. Just I hope it's not like that, because that's really hard.
But no, this is way harder.
Really?
I think so, yeah. The Saavedra at least was kind of straightforward. The idea behind this is it's very beautiful. It makes a lot of sense once you've seen it. And it really shows how important is shouldering and outflanking is in these endgames. Because white needs to target the pawn and then outflank, meaning that the king has to go round so that it can attack the pawn in coordination with the rook. That's the whole idea. But now, unfortunately for us, black is attacking our rook, winning tempo on it, about to play d4. After he plays d4, he's still, unfortunately, he's still shouldering us. we don't want to go to the side. That doesn't help with the pawn. I mean, we've already established that if the king goes beyond the third rank, the rook by itself uh, can't stop the pawn. I mean, if you play something rook a4, d4, he's gonna play d3, and the rook is not cutting off the king as it should. I mean, this king should be on the third rank if we wanted to win just by virtue of the strength of the rook. We need the king too. And unfortunately, it takes too long to put the rook behind the pawn. I mean, we can't really play a maneuver like this. That's absolutely crazy. It takes forever. So basically, we're going to have the rook in front of the pawn. And not ideal, but well, at least it's in the path of the pawn, I guess. So let's try the most natural move first. What happens if we play rook to d1? Now it's black's turn to be accurate.
I think king e4 is better because my worries about d4 are rook e1 check, and already we're giving way to the white king. If we go to the f file, then white can go like king d6, for example, or king e6. And after rook e1, if we go, if black goes king d5, same thing. White can then come in with king f6. So I think therefore black should lead with the king e4, and then if rook e1, he can then zigzag in with king f3, or even king e3 wouldn't make. Well, king e3 might even be okay, but yeah, I'm saying, yeah.
King e4. King e4. The problem is that it allows white's king to outflank. And if you play king e6, it's a mistake because after d4 the king can't approach. But the king is now able to outflank with king d6.
And then it's going to go king c5, king c4.
Yeah, and he stops and eats the pawn. Yeah. So that's what black is trying to prevent. So against rook d1, he's going to play d4. A very good move that not only, well, gets the pawn closer to the finishing line, then he's shouldering you, unfortunately. And how to get closer now? That's the deal. If you give a check, then where is that king going? What do you think?
Has to be.
The problem is that yeah.
Well, originally I was thinking king f4, but then I was thinking king d5, because my concern now is that my king is cut off from the pawn.
I think with king f4, black gets there in time because, well, now you're not attacking the pawn, and when he plays d4, he wins a tempo on your rook. That's tough. If you give a check, he just keeps approaching. That's gonna help him. And if he approaches with the king, then d3. Unfortunately, he's gonna poke the rook with d2 just in time. Rook d1, king e3, and he plays king e2, and it's just a draw. Yeah, d4 is tricky. D4 just keeps you like tied down here. And what if king d7, trying to go this way?
Well, the most natural move is king d5. My only concern is white can pass the move back to us, but then my king gets too close. If he goes rook d2, I just go to the king to the fourth rank.
Exactly. That's the exact problem. Actually, White is in a strange situation where he's in this kind of succession. I mean, if he plays king to c7, he's just going to follow you around like this. um, and if you want to waste the tempo with the rook, you're getting the rook closer to the king. That actually helps him attack the rook and advance the pawn. Like, for example, king d6, king to c3, rook d1, d3, king d5, king c2, and he's about to play d2 and then d1. So yeah, with this shouldering is amazing. It's impossible for the white king to come closer. On the other hand, just going back to the beginning, we can see that that's the problem. In that succession situation, you have to play the rook up. So instead of playing all the way back to d1, you start with rook d2, or even rook d3 works, I think. What's going to change here? And we know he can't ever play king e4 because we start outflanking immediately while attacking the pawn. So we just win the pawn. And if d4 now, what's the move?
I think the difference is now white can go backwards. So now we go king d7, and if king d5, now rook, white can go rook d1. Or do you think rook d1 right away?
Yeah, that's about it. If you play king d7, I'm only slightly concerned about this because he's gonna attack the rook. King d6, king e3, attacking the rook. Rook d1, d3. And yeah, he's hitting the rook just in time because you just lost the tempo with king d7. So now king e4, king d6, king e3, attacking the rook. And if rook d1, then d3. And when you approach, he's in time to attack the rook and play this again. So instead of losing that tempo and allowing him to come to e3 and attack the rook, you just go back. Because you're trying to do this. You're trying to start outflanking with the rook as far as possible. Now that black has played d4. So if king e4, king d6.
So then wouldn't have, instead of rook d2 earlier, wouldn't have rook d3 have achieved the same thing?
Yeah, I think rook d3 just wins
or maybe not,
because
maybe not because he's attacking our rook. No, yeah, it would be.
Well, there's a.
But then he has king.
There's a little difference.
Oh, we can go there. Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems to work more or less in the same fashion. Rook d2 seems visually easier, I would say.
It's safer. Why risk? Yeah, and why risk rook d3? It's stupid. Yeah.
Yeah. You don't need to calculate an extra line at least.
Yeah.
But this move is fantastic. Now the rook is it bears a good distance. And if king d5,
I think same thing. Just go rook d2 again.
Well, rook d2, he gets to hit our rook too quickly.
Okay, then
now we have the perfect distance.
King d7.
King d7 is the move. So you're going to start outflanking through e6 if he goes to c4, and if he goes to e4, you're going to go to c6. Now we can calculate king e4, king c6. Well, d3 and king e3 are more or less the same. You get there in time. I mean, just when he's about to attack the rook, you have king c4. He has time for nothing now. d2, king c3, and you win the pawn. It's just the magic of outflanking here. Funnily enough, this is a mutual Suksun position. If it's white to play, it's a draw because he's gonna chase you wherever you go, and you can't get close. And if you want to waste the tempo, you have to move the rook, but that takes the rook too close to black's king, and he wins the tempo by attacking it. It's very impressive by Reti, I have to say. This is a very creative maneuver, that rook d2 and rook d1, but really shows how important shouldering and outflanking can be in these situations. Another question: what if you play king f6? Is this the same?
If so, king e4, and I'm thinking rook d2, and then king e
Rook d2. Well,
king
he's winning
e3.
a lot of time too.
Yeah, but rook e1 doesn't seem any better to me, because rook e1, king f3.
Brilliant. Yeah, you separate yourself from the
And
pawn, but
we kind of get into that other position that we looked at.
excellent. So yeah, king e4, again, it's shouldering you. Unfortunately, the king can't come close. And if you try this, then there's d3. And again, you don't have access to the pawn. And if you lose a tempo here, well, black is already in time to play king e3, king e2, and d2. And you're not in time to attack the pawn.
I guess.
Yeah, it's remarkable. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, white has the rook in the worst location and the king in the worst location, so it kind of makes sense just because, yeah.
Exactly. You had to outflank like this. Here, you know you're getting to one of these two squares, regardless of what he does, because on the next move, you're attacking the pawn.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because it's kind of like a reverse opposition, like, king and pawn endgame, but it's backwards. You're defending from behind. The king defends from behind, like, from the rear.
Yeah. It's very strange, but yeah, these outflanking ideas are sometimes the only way to get to the pawn in a coordinated fashion between the king and the rook. It's really easy to throw this away. I mean, and it's an endgame that I don't know if this exact position, but something similar could easily arise. And well, this is not particularly the best position for the rook. The rook should be behind the passed pawn. That's the ideal. But even here, the outflanking ideas can be pretty effective. But it's incredible how you start with rook d2, so then you play rook d1 and you put him in Suksun with your rook as far as possible, so the king doesn't win a tempo on it by attacking.
Yeah, so this only works if the pawn isn't beyond the third rank for white, or on its sixth rank, right? Because if everything was shifted up one, then the rook can't move up.
Oh, it'll be too close to the edge already, probably. Yeah.
Here we go.
Okay, on to our actual theme. I mean, this is now I have to ask, why were you interested in this particular?
I had it a couple of times. And I had a game.
Really?
Yeah. I guess I should have showed it to you, because but it wasn't this far down. It was so the reason why is because I had the option of getting into this, and I thought, I think I was the one with the 2 pawns. I think. Oh, I forget actually now. I actually totally forget which side it was on, but I remember thinking that I could hold the draw, but I ended up losing.
Interesting. Now that you talk about it, I kind of remember I had a similar situation in one of the last tournaments one of the last serious tournaments I played in. I had to win with the king and the rook against the king and the 2 pawns. Yeah, sometimes it happens. It's interesting to see what happens when the rook has to deal with both of the pawns. It can get tricky.
Yeah,
well, you know the rule. I mean, if both pawns get to the seats right,
yeah, or the or one is
or
like
one
this.
of them-
Yeah. But I remember, I actually think they should edit the book, because I remember really looking at that, and I talked to you about this before too. But Dabrowski did not mention that if one of the pawns can be captured on the next move, that doesn't work anymore. Which it's an important thing that they should have mentioned.
If the pawn is 7th rank, yeah.
Yeah, because I remember I read that chapter, and then I had a game like that, and then I remember thinking, oh, I just pushed the pawn, thinking like, oh, there's no way he can stop them. But yeah, if they capture one of them, then it's not a guaranteed queening.
So he can take.
Yeah. So you have to be able to get that position.
You have to take this one.
Yeah.
With the pawns on the 3rd rank, he might take any of them, but with one already on the 7th, well, he only can take this one. The problem is that if he can't do it immediately, then the other one is coming to the rescue. And even if you put the rook behind the pawn, the more advanced pawn, as the rule says, it's just too close to promotion. I mean, both are going to be on the 7th rank, and when that happens, then you definitely don't have time anymore. So well, first of all, let's take a look at the at the main rule, so to speak. It's white to play and win. This is a very specific case. There are things going for both sides. I mean, we have him cut on the 3rd rank.
Yeah.
So I think that's good.
I think because what we just said. So pawns are going down, right?
These pawns are
okay. So
in this way.
Yeah. So my instinct here is rook g6 because, well, but then again, maybe his king goes to f7. But
that's the rule. I mean, it's good. The rook goes behind the more advanced pawn.
Yeah, it freezes them.
So you freeze them both. Yeah.
And if king f7, then we can do rook g4.
Okay, so you're gonna play this. And if king b7.
Oh wait, no, I was looking at rook g4, but rook g4.
Okay, rook g4.
Yeah, rook g4 seems to work.
g2.
Yeah, oh no, we're gonna get this again. Oh, no, we're gonna be like that earlier thing where his king gets close enough. Okay, so I have to take on g2.
I'll let you think for a while.
Okay,
you can win.
Yeah.
Here.
Okay. So let me think. So rook g2, f3. Well, sorry. Yeah, it's white's turn, right? Yeah. Okay. So rook g2, f3, and okay. So we win there easily. Yeah. I guess we just grab it here. Rook g2.
Rook g2. King e6. I mean, he can't separate.
So
kings
king
after match
e6,
from the pawn.
and I think we get that, we transpose to that very first position we looked at, where I then play rook g5, and
Excellent.
there's nothing better for him than f3, and then I just bring in my king, and then as soon as he wait no, after f3, then I hunt the pawn with rook g3, and then I'm gonna win it in a couple moves.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're just gonna stay here until he plays the pawn to f3. You attack it and you put the rook behind it, and you just win. Yeah, the king hasn't gone beyond the third rank, so we know if we cut him horizontally, we win the pawn. See, the rules are very important because it saves a lot of.
No,
effort,
I
really.
love those rules. Like, I love those, and they work like almost all the time. It's like very rare for there to be situations where they don't work.
Yeah, exactly. When it comes to a theoretical position like this, they definitely do work. I just want to show you this one is a very this is a classic. This is an absolute classic. The rook has to fight against these 2 pawns. How can he have to stop them? Well, clearly this was coming. So his idea is basically to stop those pawns on dark squares. I mean, that'll be beautiful. I mean, if he could block them on dark squares where his bishop is, then he'll put the king in between them on light squares, and that'll be beautiful. But at this stage, it looks like the pawns are advancing on light squares, and the bishop will help them by controlling the squares in between, and that can be pretty tough. But Arakan found this move, which shows a lot of knowledge of the endgame and a great concept, really. What is the idea after e4?
Well, after e4, because I was looking at f2 first, but I guess f2 there's rook d1. But even then, I'm not sure, because I was worried most about f2. But yeah, so
dark squares. So now you go back, and then the king will approach. The king gets to e2, and those pawns are dead, basically.
But how?
Completely tied down to the bishop.
How though?
I mean, you don't even need to take them. Your rook will be free to do whatever it pleases. For example, I don't know, e4, king c2, and the king's coming to e2.
But
it's just gonna happen even
e3,
bishop f4, rook f1.
No, but e3
or
here.
e3, king d3.
Yeah, then bishop f4.
King d3. Bishop f4, and now we play king e2. We stop
but
the pawns with the king, and now this rook is free to come help the pawn to advance, for example.
But what you're saying? White can get a win here? Because I'm happy with. I mean, I think we can get a draw. But are you saying white is actually winning here?
No, I think it's completely winning. I mean, once these pawns are neutralized, and the first thing I can think of is putting the rook on d5 and just start pushing this one.
Oh yeah, the king can't help. But what if the king was on? Oh, then we grab the pawns. Oh, okay. Yeah. So I guess.
Yeah. We'll grab these pawns. If the king was on e7, for example, we'll probably just play rook a1 and start collecting.
So with no g pawn though, there's no way white shouldn't be winning, right?
Yeah, without g pawn, I don't see how we're going to. And there are not that many pawns anymore. Actually, just a couple more exchanges, and it's so close to a draw. But with this g pawn, I think it's quite hopeless for black. So it's all reduced to how to stop these pawns. And here white gets black to put the pawns in the same color of his bishop. And that's essential. The king can take care of all of this. And the rook is just free to act now. Which coupled with that G pass pawn is just it amounts to an easy win.
Actually, I'm wondering there. If we can just go back to that position.
With king e2
Yeah,
here.
I'm wondering if we traded. I think white can even trade the rook for the bishop, and I think that's winning because I think we can create pants there.
You make two pass pawns.
Yeah, right. If we trade rook for bishop
Which
here,
are separated three.
yeah, it should be winning.
Yeah. You could even give it up, and the pawns are two separated from each other. Yeah, I mean, it's the idea is great. I mean, just make him put the pawns on dark squares and blockade everything on light squares. That's why, I mean, the principle is that you put the pawns on the color, well, that's different from your bishop. So the bishop controls the squares in between. So ideally, black would do this next. So how do we prevent that from happening?
I'm just looking at rook f5, and I want to be careful that because the e pawn might run. So rook f5, and if e3, and rook f3, e2. Oh no, we're behind it. Yeah, that works. That's fine.
Very good. The rook behind the more advanced pawn. There it is. And then this pawn is just advancing. So
and our king can.
So it's quite hopeless for black.
Yeah.
He tried bishop g3, but g5, king d7, g6, king e6. Well, the idea was probably rook f8. There is still bishop e5, though I don't know if it's enough to save the game. But white just played g7 here, and he saw that the queen can stop everything. King is also very close, I guess. So, well, bishop f4, queen f7. Yeah, something's got to fall here. King g4, queen g6, and well, e4 fell, and that was it. How did it end? Bishop g5, queen takes e4, king g3, queen g6, always threatening something. King g4, queen takes b6, stopping this, and well, we're even threatening to take and just put the queen on f1. So that's quite an easy win. But the maneuver, I mean, this position looks very complicated, and the way Arakan solves the problem, he just plays very principled. He notices that black doesn't want to put all his pawns on dark squares, or else they just get easily blockaded by the king. And he detects that the idea is actually to push the pawns, well, for as long as possible on light squares. So then against this setup, he should have the rook on f5, stopping both pawns by attacking the pawn that's more advanced.
I'm wondering,
so rook d5 solves all this.
I'm wondering if we could play rook h2.
Rook h2.
Oh wait, never mind. It takes one move longer. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. It takes one move longer. Yeah, it's too slow. I was going to go rook h2 and then rook h5, but why? It's just slower.
Oh yeah, he's playing e3 just in time, and yikes, it's hard to stop. Yeah, and then the rule of these 2 pawns apply. If you play rook f5, well, he's gonna push the other one. But yeah, very impressive. I actually had to win in a situation where I had the rook and the king versus king and 2 pawns. It wasn't all that difficult, but I'm going to show you the positions and see what you think about it.
Yeah, because the position that I had, the king, both of the kings were close to the pawns. So the pawns weren't out running by themselves. They were, they were closer. Like I think even the defending king was much closer.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I had the black pieces here. I was going this way. I was trying to calculate if c1 is winning here. Well, I concluded that it was. So c1, rook takes c1, rook takes c1, king f3. So how should black go about winning?
You're black here?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why I was wondering if there were any principles in this end game, like if the 2 pawns are at, at a certain rank or something. I wasn't sure if there were any rules applied to this. I do remember that there's a small section in Dvoretsky's endgame manual, but it wasn't too much about it. Okay, sorry. So
I think the biggest rule is the one to put the rook attacking the pawn that's more advanced. I think that's the biggest one that we should remember, especially when only one rook has to fight against these pawns. In this case, well, white's pawns and king are not that advanced, even though it looks like my king is so far away. What do you think the most principled way of stopping those pawns is?
Well, if we do go behind the most advanced pawn, that gives us a little bit of time, because then white has to, like a snail, has to slowly bring in his king and other pawns. So if we go rook, so wait, we're upside down now, right? So rook g1, right? Yeah. So if we go rook g1, white has to either bring up his king, well, or push the other pawn. I'm not sure which would be better. Probably they're the same. So let's say he brings in the king. So let's say rook g1, king f4, but that gives us a move. Then we can bring in our king, maybe king b5. And
king f5.
Oh, king f5 there. Okay. We have to keep bringing in the. Wait. I have one other idea too. Let me just stop for a second. Because I'm abandoning that for a second, and I'm looking at rook c3, because that forces his king farther away. At least I think it's forced. But
doesn't. Yeah, that's if he doesn't just abandon the pawn h3.
Yeah, I was considering that. I'm not sure about that. So king f3, king e4. Sorry, I mean rook c3 rather. Rook c3 check, king e4.
King e4.
I'm not 100% sure I'm going to take the pawn, because then I could actually go rook. I could maybe go rook g3.
Yeah, he's coming closer and closer.
Yeah, I guess that didn't do anything. Okay, but if I take on h3, and then
G5.
G5? G5 I have rook h4. And
But the king is here. I mean, rook c3, king e4.
Yeah, and then rook h3. I switched lines.
G5.
Yeah, and then I was going to go rook h4.
And king f5. You're just helping me. I'm close.
I thought I cut you off somehow. Please go to the second rank instead. Okay. So okay.
Please go back.
So you can just jettison the pawn. That's not fair. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, but let me think about one other thing because I'm still curious about it. I might go back to rook g1, but I want to entertain the idea of rook c4. So rook c4, let's say h4, right? I think that's fair. And then can I bring in the king? King b5. h5 maybe? King f6. King f. Well, yeah. I'm. Okay, I kind of lost track. Okay, let me start again. I said rook f. I said rook f4, right?
Rook c4.
Yeah, rook c4. Sorry, rook c4, and then I said h4, king b5, h5, and yeah, I guess king c6, h6. King e6. It's looking decent. If h7, rook c8, and that has to be winning there. So I wonder if he played g5 instead of running like earlier. Rook f4. Although rook f4, g5 might be a problem.
Rook c4, g5 like this.
Yeah.
King b5.
I was wondering if he can give up. Well, that wouldn't make sense. Yeah. Okay.
Give it up like this. And now try to make something of these two, like king f2, rook takes h4. Maybe.
I don't know about that. Yeah, I'm not sure because king c6.
King c6, h5. Yeah.
Yeah. Rook g1.
Rook g1.
Yeah, that seems winning.
Yeah, I think you're there. Yeah, you're there in time to. If you get here, I think you just win.
King d7. Well, yeah, king d7.
King d.
He has nothing better. Yeah,
And you have king e8.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the most important thing is to get the king back in time. Rook c4 might be enough. I think so, at least. I think the first rule actually is to get the king in front of the pawns if you can. I just saw an easy way to just get back to e8 because he has a lot of difficulty choosing between moving the king forward or the pawns. And I don't really know if I want my rook behind the pawns or on the side to cut off the king yet.
But you
So
need
king
the
d5
king.
seems, yeah, the king I need. I mean, it's just on a4. It's way too far. And what is he gonna do here if h sits?
Well, let's say
I
he
can
brings
just
let's say
take
he brings up the
h5.
king, because what I liked about rook c4 is that we cut off the king. So let's say, yeah, king f4. Yeah.
He starts bringing the king. Well, I'm gonna do the same.
I guess h4.
h4. Well, that transposes to the game. Yeah. King d7. And I'm already almost in front of the pawns. One nice thing is that almost every point he played something like this, I had this idea and I make the king go back.
Yeah. So like if we went king g5, still rook f4.
King, this is what happened. Yeah, I just put my king on e8. Like,
Okay.
um,
h5, king f7, or
king f7, king h6. That's what happened in the game. Even though he started with king h6, king f7, h5, and now I have the king in front of the pawns. Basically, he's never gonna save this. I have checks from the side, well, from everywhere really. G5, and now I'm just a couple of moves away from a win. But how?
I think we can force his king back, which I'm not sure if we want to do, but we could do that with rook f6, g6, and then I think that would be okay. Yeah, then we can go king g7, and then if h6, we can bring the king back. Yeah, so king g5.
Okay, what's our move now?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's black's move. Well, we could either go king h8 or just keep the rook on the 6th rank. So like rook a6.
Yeah, I mean both are enough. I mean, when with the king in front of the pawns, I mean, what is he going to achieve? Even if he played something like this, we would just put the king on g7 and just win. I played rook c5 because that's basically winning the pawn. He has to play g7 only move and check, and then I just take the pawn and I stop them both.
So do you think?
Yeah, the first rule, I mean, yeah.
I was just going to say, do you think a very general principle to this endgame is if the two connected passed pawns are pretty far back, that usually the rook can win? Do you think it would be safe to say, or is that dangerous?
Yeah, more likely than not, yeah. It's just that it takes forever. I mean, we also need to consider the placement of the king.
But here your king was so far back, though.
Yeah, mine was far back, but his also wasn't helping. I mean, he has everything too far behind, and he needs to coordinate all this. I mean, he needs to move the pawns, move the king forwards, and I know that basically, if my king gets more or less in front of the pawns, I should be able to stop them. But I didn't want to start with a rook move that I wasn't so sure I was gonna make. Rook c4, I think, is the most principled of them all, but still I need to consider a lot of stuff. Like this idea g5, g4, which I think, well, black gets there just in time, or h4, h5, and h6. I think there were more things to consider there, even though it should still be a win.
Okay,
but
so
getting the king in front of the pawns first looks very principled to me if I can get away with it.
yeah, so of course it depends on a lot of situational positioning, but very, very rough general takeaway is if the two connected passed pawns are pretty far back, and assuming that the kings aren't really specially situated, usually the rook can overpower them, right? Oh, what?
Yeah,
Oh, sorry, I
yeah.
got cut off here.
In most situations, you can. Yeah.
So it's a dangerous thing to rely on as white to hope for a draw, unless the pawns, there's that 6 and 4 and 2 rule, or maybe what do you think if the king was like, if the white's king here was on h6 or g6? What do you think? You think that's easier then for white to draw?
Yeah, more like, I mean, with my king like this, I'll think that, I mean, white is just a couple of pawn moves away from having a very advanced one. So yeah, that might change everything really. He has a problem of a combination of issues. I mean, even though my king is so far away, his king is also in the same situation. The pawns are not that advanced, so I have all the time in the world to go back. But with the king on g6, one of his two problems are solved, and this pawn looks like it's on a race, and I don't know if I can stop it. Then it's most likely a draw, I think. Though the other thing with these endgames is that it's generally always about the tempo or two. I mean, normally even one, it's won or drawn by a single tempo most of the time. So that also kind of makes it difficult to build general rules. But I think, getting the king in front of the pawns, if possible, well, pretty much wins. And the techniques to stop the pawns with only the rook are very important. I mean, that cutting the king off, putting the rook behind the more advanced pawn, and then all the ideas with shoulder and all that stuff can also apply probably in many scenarios. So that's why I also wanted to go through the other endgames, just to review the general ideas when fighting against a pawn, even a single pawn. Even a single pawn can be tricky. And
Yeah.
for example, in some of the lines, it might make sense to give up this pawn to speed up this two. For example, when you wanted to play rook c3, and that's a move I didn't consider during the game, because my main concern is that I get the two pieces to stop the king and pawn. Here, I don't know if I'm not getting distracted by taking this pawn.
Yeah.
And the g pawn advances and the king is centralized. I didn't want to have to go through that. I mean, I didn't want to calculate that if I could manage to just get my king
And that was a classical game?
in front of the pawns and stop them. Well,
Was this a classical game that you played?
yeah, I could if this if this actually worked or not. Yeah. This is. I still have more than 10 minutes probably.
Yeah, it's still
So
scary
I
though, right?
had plenty of time to determine if this was winning, but yeah, here I doubted a little bit. I mean, I had to calculate a little bit, like rook takes, king
Is that the
f3,
is that the only winning move here?
and yeah, but I had the time.
But is rook h3 not winning?
But I lost the pawn c2. Rook takes
but then you have rook h2.
c2.
Oh, sorry, that just trades. Yeah, never mind. Yeah,
but he did.
Yeah, his king's close enough.
Yeah, he's close. So yeah, I might have king b3, and he will start checking again. Probably
he just keeps checking you.
b8, king a4. Yeah, so that's a repetition most likely.
Yeah, I don't see how you would progress here.
His king is also close, so I have to pull the trigger right now.
Unless you somehow, because I mean, I don't know how you could make progress, because you can never, your king can never help support the pawn. So it seems like you have to promote.
Yeah, at this point it looks like it. Yeah. In any case, if not, I'll be losing some time. I mean, he can always give his rook for the pawn and just start going forwards with his king and pawn. So I just better make a queen right now and run.
Another question?
Towards,
Another question I have about this is would it be very rare for the side with the rook to need to worry about white actually winning?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of reserved for those endgames where your rook is pretty much alone against the pawns, but your king is like elsewhere, and his king is close. I mean, it might happen, but you see, even in this ending where I have the king on a4, I get back in time. So it'll probably require a combination of this king being advanced and the pawns being already on like g5, h6, and my king where it is now. Yeah, those are a lot of requirements, but it might happen.
Right.
I've seen it happen. Yeah, it could. It definitely could. But it's rare. I mean, that's totally true. There are some drawing scenarios with 3 pawns and a king versus a rook and a king, which are a mess. I mean, I've seen that happen.
I know that
but again, you have a lot of variables there.
I know that there's a lot of theory behind the F and H pawns, the split.
Oh, yeah.
There's a section there's a section in Dvoretsky's Endgame Manual, but he doesn't actually go into it in too much detail. He gives a few basic primers on it, but then he's kind of like just says, well, it kind of depends on it depends too much on the position to kind of give too many.
Like don't get your king cut on the edge, and when you have to choose, at some point you have to avoid king h7, for example. Yeah, it's tough. It's very tough. I had it with the two split pawns when I was young. In a Pan American Championship, I thought I was going to win, and I couldn't. And I was surprised to find out it was a draw. I didn't know it at the time. I was so pissed off.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah, it can happen.
Yeah. That's actually fairly common. I mean, because you can always steer it, right? You can steer it into that. I don't know how easy it is to draw that though. I don't think it's that easy. I think you have to be pretty accurate.
No, trivial it isn't. Yeah. I mean, I don't even remember what transpired in my game, but I'm sure I didn't use all the resources for the strong side either. We must have both made mistakes, if I have to guess at this point.
But I think it's also handy just to even know that it is a draw, a theoretical draw, even if you don't know the exact technique. It's good to know that it is a draw, because then if you're the one trying to draw, you'll try extra hard, right? Because you know that you can draw. It gives you
at least there's something to find.
Then it's just like a puzzle.
That's important.
Okay, well, thank you again. It's been a very long time, and I'm happy that you saw some of my games from the tournament. There are some upcoming tournaments that I've been thinking about, but I'm not sure if I'm going to go to them yet, because I don't feel in the best of shape right now chess wise, so kind of on the fence about it. But the last one turned out well. I had a terrible start.
You've been busy, but the tournament ended really well.
I love 9 rounds. I can't go back to 5 or 6 anymore. It's going to be so hard to play just 5. I've always hated 5 or 6 rounds. It's, it's you have a bad tournament and there's no coming
abruptly
back. But the 9, I love 9 rounds. And I think even if you had a terrible tournament with 9 rounds, your rating will drop enough that next tournament, it should go a lot better. But it's basically like 2 tournaments in one for me, a 9-rounder, and so it's also it's good value, and it's more cost effective when traveling, because I only have to travel there once, but I get 9 rounds in, so I loved it. And the time control, I didn't mind. It didn't seem overly fast for me. It was 50 plus 10. So I've only ever played.
Being used to playing online, now you're comfortable with that, probably. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's kind of a nice middle ground. It's not too quick and it's not too slow. And I got 3 games per day. It was kind of nice, and I'm not overly tired. I never got up once, by the way, the whole tournament from my board. I never stood up once for all 9 games. I sat at the board nonstop.
Now that's impressive.
But I think it was 50 plus 10. It's a lot easier to do that. And it's scarier to get up.
Yeah, I mean, clock is ticking quickly after all. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
great tournament. I mean, I love to see that you recovered, because I knew that during the first rounds you had tough time. I mean, you were 2 out of 4, something like that.
1 out of 4.
Is that so? 1 out of 4.
Yeah.
Oh, you lost the 4th round.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it was very rough.
Great to recover from that point.
Yeah, and did you see my game against the 1800? That was Carlsen's opening.
Which one was it?
It's where he played an obscure opening that Carlsen plays, but I know that opening, and he was very surprised that I knew it. That was round.
You're well informed about.
Yeah, and he told me after the game. He said no one knows that. He said you're the first player that knew that, and yeah. You must not have seen that one. I think that was like round. That was round 8. I think that was round 8, and yeah, that was a very good game. I think you would be very impressed with that one, because it's an obscure opening, but I happened to study it and have a really good response to it, and I was overwhelmingly winning. I played like the top engine move for the majority of the game, and these are kind of difficult moves. And then I made a terrible decision, which you would hate. I traded queens when I was completely winning, and then it got into a rook and pawn in game. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you can take a look at it for the next lesson. I think you'll really like the game. It's
awesome.
It's a Sicilian. I was black. It's when white plays knight c3, so e4 c5, knight c3, d6, d4, c takes d4, queen takes d4, knight c6, queen d2, queen d2 there. Do you know that?
Yeah.
So Carlsen played that.
Yeah, Carlsen does play. Yeah.
Yeah, and actually there was he played it because I think it was a Norwegian player like messaged him and told him about it. These are just notes that I read in Chess Base when I was preparing for it. Anyways, my setup was g6, and then bishop h6, and then like f5. Oh. Right, putting pressure on e5 and that. Yeah, and then. Whoa, it was a good game. And like if you look at the eval, so my opponent was like 1800 and a young 1800s, and the eval, just because I was black, it just goes straight down all the way. But then later on I was scared. I was scared to play with all of the heavy pieces, and I traded queens, which was a terrible decision. And then I screwed up a little bit the rook and pawn endgame too. But I was a little bit low on the clock, and it ended up being a draw. But a draw against the 1800, I'm satisfied with. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and you had him against the ropes too, so that feels good.
Oh yeah, no, he was sweating the whole time. He had his like head in his hands, and he was like, he was just shaking his head the whole time, and because he couldn't believe that I knew that opening and had the antidote for it. Anyways, I'll let you go. I know it's very late there. I hope you feel better.
Is it up in your channel? I mean,
yeah. I'll send. Yeah, it's round 7. Okay. Yeah, you should take a look because it's actually a very good game, except the ending. But I'm very proud how I played. It looks like I was a computer for the first like 3 quarters.
You have everything.
Yeah. No, I've got even, and that's not a common opening. That's a very rare opening, and
Not at all. I mean, it's a shock. I mean, if you
yeah,
played with white and someone comes up with all these moves, like,
yeah. And then
what's going on?
and then next round, they prepared against me, but I was still ready for them. So with the last round, yeah, don't mess with me in my
Yeah,
openings.
I mean,
That's the only thing I
you're
got
really
going for me.
exploiting your opening knowledge. That's good.
Yeah. No, that's the other thing. The most of my games at tournament were openings from my repertoire, most of them, and I didn't get any boring D4. There wasn't a single D4 or C4. They were all E4 or there were the two Carol Khans, which I love playing against. So I had no Frenches or anything. They were Sicilians, and actually that's not true. There was also the Roy Lopez, but yeah, there was no D4 that I had to play against. I'm happy about that. So, but yeah, again, I will let you go. I thank you for your time. I hope you feel better soon, and yeah, we'll stay in touch.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Great to see you again.
You
Tyler.
too.
Okay, I'll see you next Monday then.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay, let me go here. Okay, so let's see. Is there anybody in the chat? There aren't, and it's actually quite late here, so I am going to call it a night. Whoops. There we go. Yeah, so that was Alessandro, my coach. I think he's accepting new students if anybody wants to hire him as a coach. Yeah, anyways, yeah, it's getting late here. Well, it's actually not that late, but I'm tired. So